Welcome, and thank you for tuning in today. This is 820. 820, number one in your heart, 820 on the dial and the scorecard, and not in the credit score. But welcome to the open journal, this public ledger, what I'm calling the blockchain of resilience. Blockchain of resilience meaning this cannot be duplicated or corrupted. All these transactions, meaning these conversations about resilience, these are maintained in your open journal, in your public ledger, unlocked and accessible only to you and to those that you love. Now, this podcast, this daily 820 discussion about resilience will not change your life, but at least I can guarantee that it will change your perspective on this present moment. Let's get into it. Today I'm going to embark probably on a multi-part discussion. As you saw in the title, The Boys of Summer, 1981. And it might be a little bit of rambling conversation with the man who really inspired this series of topics on the summer of 1981. But this topic today, this episode today, as well as all the parts that will follow the one today, is based on a true story. A true story of an unlikely series or phases of events that led to a solid foundation of friend. If you have researched or reviewed a few other episodes previously in the 820 library, I talk about formerly the 8 pillars of friend became the 9 pillars of friend. I think recently I just updated it and collapsed those 9 pillars into, I think, 5 pillars of friend. Meaning back then, I started to talk about or elaborate on a passion for using words carefully, assiduously, meaning use the words but mean what you say. And at that point in time, many, many months ago, I made the effort to state my objection to using the term friend so loosely and so widely with people you don't even know. And really, you hadn't even measured how you concluded and summarized this discussion or meeting with this person, and automatically he's your friend. So not that I'm trying to change the rules of the world on what a friend means to you, but I want to at least offer a discipline, a model, a process for assessing those 1,000 friends you have out there in the world, and really how many of them are actually friends if you were to apply the pillars I put forward for you. But this topic today, the summer of 1981, the boys of summer 1981, still a true story based on a series of events, unlikely events, that then prompted this, yes, relationship, but the foundation or the pillars or the strong parameters for what a friend means to me. And these pillars that I mentioned to you that began to arise or seed in 1981, these are pillars, or they became pillars before we became aware of those pillars. And then way before we became aware of the significance of those pillars individually and then collectively. So I say individually, as I mentioned before, the gentleman, the man, the brother, the friend, who really prompted this conversation today. And I will introduce him soon. But before I get into that discussion with my dear friend and brother, I want to introduce in this episode today, call it part one, before I bring forward the preeminent Dr. Paco, get him on the line and get his input on these series of events as I recall them, and see what he says as he recalls them, and see if we can get to the essence of how this happened in these unlikely series of events back in 1981. I mentioned Dr. Paco, my sincere friend for over 45 years. And I introduced this today because, to me, it's a story worth telling, sharing, and relating to all of you out there with a common interest in resilience and what it means. What it means, yes, to me, and what it means, yes, to Dr. Paco individually, but also what it apparently meant to Dr. Paco and me before we even recognized the inherent value and strength of resilience. This brotherly connection started at West Point, but there's more to that link up, and that was called that initial rally point between Paco and me. As I get into this discussion, I'm going to identify these phases, I guess, of my life that would demonstrate or highlight where he and I met in my phases of life. But then, just as a bookmark here, consider phase 2 as I as I recall or summarize the phases as I remember how I guess, grew into this understanding or realization of resilience. So as a quick, I hate saying that, not quick, as a initial brief introduction, Dr. Paco and I, we were total strangers before 1981. But then now, he is someone closer to me than any other individual to me in this life, including relatives, parents, grandparents, uncles, colleagues at work. This gentleman, Dr. Paco, who was a total stranger to me before 1981, but now is the closest person, spirit, entity I have in my life that I can sincerely call my friend, my brother, my guide, just a personal God walking with me in this world. I know that's a pretty powerful statement, yes? But again, let me put a bookmark here as I'm introducing this conversation with Dr. Paco and regarding the boys of summer 1981. Until then, stay safe, stay present, stay current. Wherever you are in this world, please remember, it is always 8:20.